Week of live. Here we are. Here we are at the week of live on Awakened Creators. Amanda here. Challenging myself this week to, instead of making contents or static posts, I am just going to go live this week. And there's different days, different themes, but today is just going to be a creative life update. So I'm going to let you know what I'm doing. What do I do with my time when I'm not working on Awakened Creators? What am I working on? And talk to you about some of the things that I'm struggling with and how I'm moving through those experiences. And then I have a really cool book that I want to share with you um, that my partner gave me, and I'm excited to share it. So, a little sip of water. I don't know about you, but I do not stay hydrated. I definitely need to drink more water. All right. Anyways, as you come into this space, I would love to say hello. So if you want to leave a comment and just say hi, I'll give you a little shout out. But yeah, otherwise, what in the world is Amanda up to? You've probably seen in some of my posts and content this painting behind me. As far as painting goes, this is a big project that I have that I'm working on, and it's actually part of a whole series that I'm doing. This is my first time ever doing a series of paintings. I've primarily just been doing whatever I want and, expressing myself however I want to, but I felt like I really wanted to try and create a cohesive body of work. So this is the second piece of that body of work. Probably have to get up to show you. The first one is behind here. Whoa. And this was done quite a while ago, but actually I finished this one, I think, while I was on hiatus in January. So it's an abstract piece. And the series that I'm doing it on is Meditations on Home. I moved a lot as a kid, like every single year we moved. So my concept of home is very different than most people's. And I wanted to create a series of works that really, first and foremost, help me reflect on my experience of home life, but also to, um, stretch and expand myself as an artist to communicate that to the outside world. So this second piece, my dad and I actually made this canvas. It's really cool. It's shaped like a house. And I'm gonna do like a whole video where I explain how we did this. But basically, I went to the thrift store and I bought a big painting, and I took the painting off and I broke down the wood pieces and we rearranged them to be in the shape of a house. And then oops, sorry, hit the mic. And then I recanvassed it. So I have a big roll of canvas that I stretched across it. My first time stretching a canvas, I think I did pretty good. I'm super happy with it, how it turned out. And so this is an extension of the piece I just showed you. And if you notice, probably have to zoom in. Probably see it better on YouTube than Instagram, but I have some words on here, and these are the names of all the streets I've ever lived on in my whole life. There's a couple missing. I still need to do some research with my dad to remember where we lived. So there will be a few more added, but otherwise I've got most of them on here. And then I am going to add a figure to this piece. So it's not quite done. It's close. I'm really proud of it. I think it's super cool that I made it with my dad, um, seeing as how it's all about home. So I think the series is going to be really cool when it finishes and all the pieces look cohesive. And then, I'll probably try to apply for a gallery exhibition or something like that. Not that you have to be in a gallery or anything, but it's something that I enjoy that I would like to do. So that's my painting. What are you doing? Are you painting? Are you a painter? I would like to hear from those of you who are tuning in. But yeah, as far as painting goes, that's pretty much it. I have this little goofy, little goofy thing I did the other day. If I can get it out. Don't ask me what it is. I was bored and I wanted to paint, but I didn't want to work on my projects, my more serious projects, because it required a little too much mental and bandwidth. So I just grabbed a piece of paper and painted this goofy face. And then as I was doing it, I thought about the oh my God, what is the childhood thing where it's like, oh my, what big teeth you have? And I think it's the Little Red Riding Hood. Why can I not think of it? But anyways, that's kind of where that came from. It's like my big what? And who's afraid of a big bad? And I cut off wolf because I thought, well, maybe it also could be woman. Who's afraid of a big bad woman? Um, so it's a bit of an empowerment piece as well. I don't know. It's kind of random. I got a lot of stuff going on. I also have a project back here uh, that I have sketched out, but I have not really been motivated to work on this one very much. I don't know about you, but there are some projects that just kind of sit and they have their time, and when it's not their time, there's like nothing that can get me to work on them. I will not work on them. I will maybe try to convince myself, but I don't do that so much anymore. I really try to respect my intuitive knowing of which projects need my attention. Um, and I'm not really wanting to give you advice or anything, but I would say, especially here at Awakened Creators, that we're all for listening to our intuition about what to work on, when to work on it, um, how much to work on it. So if you are pressuring yourself to work on projects and suffering through the experience of working on them, you might want to reflect on that. Because I truly believe the creative process is meant to be joyful from start to finish. Yes, there are experiences that are going to challenge you, but those are meant to grow you. Um, but the actual like act of creating should be at least expansive. It doesn't really have to be positive, but it should be expanding you and growing you in some kind of way. So anyways, that's the paintings that I have done. What else do I do? I write. I'm not sure that many of you even know that I'm a writer. Um, that I write fiction, and that actually is my primary mode of expression, although my paintings have really been opening me up and expanding, like I just mentioned. But I am still writing, and in fact, I have a writing account on Instagram. If you're interested in actually seeing some of my writing, I might start sharing it more on Awakened Creators, but I don't really have a plan for that yet. Um, but you can find it at A.L. Stone Writes. And you can look at some of the excerpts and stuff from my books. I primarily write for children, which also might surprise people. But I do have some adult fiction as well. Speaking of which, most of my stuff I write on computer. But this adult novel that I'm working on It's called Wild Abandon. Oh, this is my book, by the way. My little reminder to self. But this is my story, and I am handwriting it. So I used to do this when I was a kid, on the back of homework and in class. I have so many notebooks of just stories, and I would just write. So the way that I'm handwriting this novel is really nostalgic for me in that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about making it sound good or anything. I just go with what comes up. And I'm finding too that the handwritten, instead of typing, it really does slow you down and it makes you have to really think about, not so much think, but contemplate and intuit what to say next. So rather than, um, when you're typing, you can just rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, um, even if you're in the process of drafting where you should probably just write and not rewrite so much. But when you're handwriting, it's like I do very little. Like there's one scribble here, one here, and one here, and that's it. Otherwise, I don't judge myself and I don't rewrite. I just write. So this has been really cool. This story I'm excited about is about a young boy whose parents choose to live off the grid in the Appalachian Mountains. And while they are living off the grid, they have another son. So they are two boys. And one is about 7 or 8 years old, and the other one is 2 to 3. I haven't quite pinned down the ages just yet, but that's about the range. And unfortunately, the parents are killed by a bear during the time that they are living out there. And so this 7 or 8-year-old boy basically has to survive with his little brother, his little 2 to 3-year-old brother. They have to survive in the woods until they're rescued. And that's really the first part of the novel is that once they are rescued from their little cabin, they are split up by social services, and the two brothers like never see each other again. So the story is going to follow the older brother and his attempts to reconnect and find his baby brother. And meanwhile, he's battling alcohol addiction, as well as some slight psychosis because um, he is like the only one who remembers his parents and remembers his life. And so there's a lot of times where he questions if it ever really even happened or is he making all this stuff up? So I think it's a really cool idea. I'm excited to see where my characters go. Um, I'm just at the point where he has reconnected with his brother, um, although his brother is a junkie and has no memory of them being related, so is very resistant to believing him. And that's where the novel's at right now. So that's my adult novel. And then I have a middle grade novel that I type on the computer that I'm actively working on right now. And that one is like a portal fantasy kind of deal, where a young boy loses his mom. And funny enough, when I started writing that story in 2017 or 18, um, I had no idea that my mom was going to pass away, obviously. And as I was writing the story, um, and then when my mom got cancer and I went through all those things with losing her, I realized that this story I had been writing was like my story, but I didn't know it. So that book has been a really interesting experience. I'm in the revision stages with that book, so the whole thing is written, but I am going back and I am making it all make sense. Like, I think Neil Gaiman says the process of, like, rewriting is making it look like you knew what you were doing from the beginning. So that's where I'm at, trying to make it look like I knew what I was doing from the very beginning. And, yeah, it's been really interesting. So anyways, this little boy, he's not little, he's just turned 13. He's lost his mother. He's being raised now by his newly reintroduced father, who's been in prison most of his life. Him and his mom got back together shortly before she passed away. So he's being raised by essentially a stranger who doesn't understand him like his mom does. The young man is very much into drama and acting and wants to become a stage actor on Broadway, but his father is kind of very plugged into typical masculine identity and doesn't approve of any of that stuff. So there's a bit of a struggle with expressing your authentic self, which I think is really relevant to a lot of us here at Awaken Creators, that we've had to go through this journey of trying to express ourselves authentically. So anyways, on his 13th birthday, he is gifted this strange item by his mother post-mortem. Basically, she wrapped it up and said, "Give it to him on his 13th birthday." And it's this strange item the boy thinks is a paperweight. He's very confused. They own an antique shop, so it's not unusual that strange items come in and out of their lives. Um, but this thing ends up being a compass that opens a portal to another world, and the boy travels into this world and meets two characters who are kind of on a similar journey in terms of they're sort of trying to run away from a reality that doesn't suit them while being conflicted about being their authentic self. So he's going to go through this journey, and this world is like a steampunk zootopia, is how I like to describe it. Yes, it is sentient talking animals, and I refuse to listen to anyone who tells me not to write books about talking animals. I grew up with talking animals. I mean, The Jungle Book, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like, you can't tell me kids don't like books about talking animals in them. Like, that's just not true. So, yes, his two new friends are a giant grizzly bear and a ferret, and they are going to go on this little adventure and learn a lot of lessons, and first and foremost learn to be themselves and love themselves and follow their hearts, even when it's scary and difficult. So that's my middle grade novel. That's the one that I try to work on every week. I'm not always consistent with it, but I really do try. um, and then my adult novel that I'm handwriting, I usually only work on this one. It's strange. I usually only work on it when I'm in a very melancholy, somber mood, because that's the energy of the book. So I find that when I'm in that mood, I can access my character, my main character, very easily. So I like to write in it almost like a journal, but like I'm journaling, but I'm someone else. So it's interesting. I don't know. I'm enjoying that. Um, so yeah, if any of those stories sound exciting or interesting to you, I would love to hear you say that, because I think they're cool, and I know as creatives, we're working on stuff and like we're really excited about it, but we never really know how it sounds to the ear outside of ourselves. But yeah, I think that they sound cool. I would love to see my middle grade novel on the big screen someday. I think it would make a really cool kids movie. So, pipe dream or not, that's my intention, is to write a good enough kids novel to see it on the big screen. Um, so that's what I'm working on with my paintings and with my writings. I wanted to, though, to share with you all a book that I'm reading that my partner gave me, and I'd never seen it before, and I felt like it was very fitting for awakened creators. It's called Van Gogh's Second Gift: A Spiritual Path to Deeper Creativity. And I did not know that Van Gogh was initially going to become a preacher, that that was his whole deal, as he was going to become a preacher just like his dad and preach the gospel. And then somewhere along the way, he transitioned to a life as an artist. So I thought that that was really interesting. This book is cool. It's a super short read. It's broken up into 41 little, like, almost like devotionals. They're called illuminations. And they involve excerpts from letters that Van Gogh actually wrote, mostly to his brother, but also to his mom or other family members or friends. So you get to actually like read Van Gogh's letters to people and hear what he's thinking about and how he's thinking about. There's some of his sketches in here, journal entries. Like, it's super cool. And I will also say that this book has come to me in an interesting time when I am feeling very guided to return to channeling creators who have gone past. And I had probably like a year ago felt Van Gogh, but I was honestly resistant to it because what do most of us know about Van Gogh is that he was depressed and killed himself. And because suicide is something that I've struggled with, and I don't want anyone to feel like we're like glorifying that idea. I was very kind of resistant to channeling Van Gogh. But a week or two ago, before I got this book, I went to a yoga class, and the yoga instructor, who I'd never met before, this was my first time, had this beautiful yoga mat and it was had painting flowers on it. And she was like, "Oh, I like this yoga mat." And I forget who painted it. I'm like, Van Gogh. Like, I could tell just right away it was a Van Gogh painted yoga mat. And she was like, "Yeah." And then a week later, my partner gives me this book. So I'm like, okay, Van Gogh is kind of starting to show up in my awareness. And that's usually my sign that a creator wants to come through and share something with this community. And also learning about Van Gogh's spiritual connection and how strongly spiritual he was is a part of him I don't think a lot of people know about. I certainly didn't know that before this book. So I think Van Gogh may want to talk to us sometime soon. Um, yeah, we'll see where that leads. We will see where that leads. I have a bunch of other books. I don't know that I want to turn this into like a book club, but I might actually because I read a lot. If I could turn the camera around and you would see my nightstand, there's just like a stack of library books and then a stack of journals on top of the library books because I have like a journal for everything. A manifestation journal, regular journal, a notebook for creative ideas, a sketchbook, like all kinds of books everywhere. Um, so yeah, I love to read. And if you have any book recommendations, I would love to hear them in the comments that you think the creative community would like to know. But I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a couple books because they're just right here and share them with you because I think I think they'd be interested. Let's see. Um, this one. Oh, yeah, not this one. Yeah, I'll put that one. And I think that's good. Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. And this is like my favorite writing book. Okay. Okay. Just a few, right? Told you I have a lot of books. Um, okay. Let's start with some craft books. Books that I think will actually be helpful to you in learning skills. If you are a writer, listen up. This book, The Art of X-Ray Reading, How the Secrets of 25 Great Works of Literature Will Improve Your Writing. This is a book by Roy Peter Clark, and probably one of the best writing craft books I've ever read. It is marked up to hell by me. So basically what he does is he breaks down sections of really good famous writing and he tells you why it's good, and then he helps you through a couple of writing exercises apply the why to your own writing. So if you're looking for like a class on how to write better, but you don't want to go to a class and the time and all of that, just get this book and work through it little chapter by little chapter. Or even if you want to, because it's more like an anthology, you don't have to go in order. You could just jump to the ones that you like the most. But it's really cool. You can see there's like writing lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, like different ways he kind of breaks down why it's good. So this is a really cool book, and I highly recommend to any writers out there. It will make you a better writer. If you are a visual artist, this book I highly recommend. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. And I haven't honestly finished this one, but what little bit of it that I did do, I feel like helped me understand more about why visual art works, like how to make it good. Um, and it's a lot more about accessing the non-linear, non-logical part of your brain, um, rather than trying to think your way through art. So, super good book. There's full of exercises and all kinds of stuff. Um, Little bookmark I made, little abstract floral thing. So yeah, that's definitely one. Like if you want to go to art school but can't afford art school or don't have the time, you'll learn quite a bit from just this one book. Ooh, Wings of Jules has a book recommendation. Affirmations for the Inner Child by Rochelle. Does that say Lerner? Lerner, I think. Very cool. That's funny that you say that because this was the little oracle card I just pulled last night. Inner Child Healing. So I'll have to check out that affirmations book. Thank you for that recommendation. Yeah, if you guys have any other recommendations, please drop them in the chat. Okay, so let's say you want a creative book, but you want a quick read, a little fun thing, light feeling, Steal Like an Artist. This one's pretty good. Yes, it's a bit tongue in cheek, but it also has some just really good advice and creative reminders. These are the kind of books, honestly, that piss me off and make me think, like, I could do that. Like, I could write a book like that with all the quote posts I've done for the last 5 years or something, right? So, maybe I won't get bitter, I'll actually just do it and self-publish something, similar to this because this is fun. It's a good little book. It feels like talking to a friend, and it has decent advice in it. I'm not always a huge fan of this kind of stuff because I feel like it's kinda surface level, but I wasn't mad at that one. It was good. This book is super cool. Another real shorty, easy read, with exercises you can do, things to try. And look, it's called Improv Wisdom. I have always wanted to try improv. I cannot believe I'm almost 40 and I've never done improv. I think acting is so cool and so fun to be a character and just perform. So, Improv Wisdom, it's the subtitles Don't Prepare, Just Show Up. And it's really about that, like, moving beyond your fear and just doing it, just going for it in all aspects of your life. So it's not just about in your creative endeavors, although that is kind of the focus of the book, but it's also just about in your relationships, in your work. How do you just improvise on the spot without pre-planning? Basically, like I'm doing right now with this live, no idea what I'm going to say next or what. I'm just going for it, right? So, oh, I know it's never too late. I plan on doing some improv. There's a group, I think, in the next town over that does it, and I absolutely wanna do it. I low key think I would be really good at it, actually. So I'm looking forward to trying. Um, okay, so I'll do a couple more and then one last one. Uh, I have mixed feelings about this one, but I'm gonna recommend it because it's not a bad read. Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. My hang up with this book is that it talks about creative resistance in a way that I do not find helpful. It makes it sound like this big, awful, terrible thing that you'll struggle with your entire creative life, and it's horrible and awful, and you gotta just power through it and plow through it. It's a very masculine kind of, take on that. If you've been around Awakened Creators a while, you know that, I don't talk about creative resistance that way. Yes, it is gonna come up, but I truly believe it comes up to grow and expand you. It's an opportunity, and if you shift your way of viewing it, you can use it, alchemize it to become a better artist. And I actually teach you how to do that in the Overcoming Creative Blocks masterclass that I have. Um, and you can find the link to that in my bio and buy it. It's a brief 50-minute masterclass that will basically tell you how to do that, how to alchemize creative resistance in its many forms. But that being said, this book is actually pretty good. Look at these pages. Super easy to read. Again, these are the kind of books that sort of piss me off and like, why are you not self-published? Look at how easy this is. People just eat this up. And I could do better. So, you know, let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's just little things. You could just commit to reading a page before bed, a little section before bed, and you would have, I think, some pretty decent advice. But just don't get too hung up on Pressfield's perspective on blocks. I think is not the most helpful. Um, okay, last creative focused ones. Aw. Yes, you can and will do better. Absolutely, I know it. Julia Cameron, she is one of my creative idols, like role models, I guess, for what I'm going for as far as Awakened Creators goes. She's an incredible creative guide who has helped so many people reconnect with their creativity and come at it from a more spiritual perspective. And she's been doing it since I think before I was born. So I love you, Julia. But yeah, I'm ready to kind of take on the mantle and do the same thing. There's also a foreword by Natalie Goldberg, who I love, and I don't have her book because I gave it to my sister, who then moved to Texas, now is holding my book hostage. But Natalie Goldberg, side note for writers, she wrote a book called Writing Down the Bones, and it is absolutely one of the best writing books I have ever read in my life. If you want to get to the heart of why you write and what you're writing about, get Natalie Goldberg's Writing Down the Bones. It will change your life. But so will Julia Cameron's, and Julia Cameron's will change your life regardless of what medium you work with. If you're a visual artist, a dancer, musician, a writer, the Artist's Way will teach you a lot of the things we talk about here at Awaken Creators, but just to love yourself through the creative process, to change your perspective on creative resistance, to learn how to have more fun in life and just be like a kid again. So she's really cool. I've gifted that to people a few times. Have one more writing book I forgot was in my laptop bag because I take it with me when I go to the cafe to work on my novel, and it's this one. It's Living Revision by Elizabeth Jarrett Andrews. A writer's craft as a spiritual practice. So again, to all the writers out there, Living Revision, if you're revising a novel, Elizabeth will help you get to the heart of your story faster, and you will revise better. I never heard someone talk about revising a novel like this. You can see it's already getting battered up. Like, this is my little revision Bible, and I take it with me everywhere when I go writing. It comes with me. So yeah, those are the creative books that I have. Now, this last one I'm going to share with you is not a creative focused book. However, I highly, highly, highly recommend it to everyone I know, especially if you feel like you're walking on a spiritual path. Who isn't? The Power of Now by Mr. Eckhart Tolle. I know you know the book. Maybe you've read some of it or you've heard of it. If you haven't read the whole thing, read the whole thing. Do your life a favor and read the whole thing. I had my spiritual awakening experience in 2017. I had a second one when I read this book. That's how powerful it is. It was like I didn't know I still had more to know. So much more to know. But learning to be present has changed my life. So, Power of Now, gotta read it. It's essential reading. Anyways, sorry. Well, not sorry. That was a little impromptu book club, book recommendation moment. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you want a list of these, let me know and I will. And there was a lot more I did not pull out. I just try to pull out the best ones. But yeah, one of these days, all Amanda's books are going to go in between them. And I can recommend my own books to people, which I do have a book to recommend for overthinkers. It's a short little ebook that's filled with journal prompts and is available on Amazon. It's a little ebook, super inexpensive, but will help you if you're stuck in your head, get out of your head so you can start creating again and doing what you love. So you might want to check that out. Otherwise, that's really what I'm up to. I am getting some things prepared for Awaken Creators to kind of shift and evolve. Like I mentioned, just doing more lives. This week is kind of an experiment. Um, I know there wasn't a ton of notice as far as this live went, but I hope that you will join me on Wednesday at the same time, same bat hour. We're going to go live again. And that live is going to be a live channeled Q&A session. So I'm going to drop in the stories an opportunity for you to submit a question, something you're struggling with on your journey, something you would like some advice on how to move through, and I will connect with my guides and channel some creative advice and support for you to do just that. So if that's something that you're interested in, essentially getting a free intuitive reading by me, and you don't mind it being on the air in public, then look out for that, or you can already send me a private message and let me know what your question is, and I'll be sure to include you in the Wednesday channel Q&A session. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then on Friday, we're going to go live and interview some of the artists who participated in the Mind, Body, and Soul Experience project with House of Renebes, and just talk to them about what it is they create and how they create and why they joined the project and what it's been like for them. Um, I reached out to a few creators from all around the globe. So if you're interested in hearing what creators in other countries think and feel and how they process and how they work, you'll definitely want to be a part of that conversation and hear what they have to say. I'm really curious. This has been a fun project. If you haven't checked it out, you can see all the photos and all of that on the Awaken Creators Facebook page or Instagram page, where we've shared all the work that they've created so far. And there's still more to come. We're wrapping up the body, and we'll be sharing soul very soon. So lots more awesome art from all around the world coming your way. Thank you so much for being here, for being with me, and for being devoted to your art, to your heart, to you. I love you. Namaste. Have a beautiful Monday and a fabulous week, and I will see you live again on Wednesday. Bye for now.